Our next speaker, Nick Campbell, is one of our great actors. Most of you, all of you know him as Da Vinci in Da Vinci's Inquest. But I have always preferred a performance that he gave in a series on Bravo called Spoken Art, based on a short story by Barbara Gowdy. It's called The Two-Headed Man, and he played the head. Nick Campbell, Just Ahead, a piece directed by Marilyn Lightstone. Nicholas Campbell.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Excuse me. Hello? How am I doing? I've been struggling with what to talk to you about today for about 6 months now. I'm really honored to be asked to come here. And actually, my voice would be okay. I just got my last credit is Proof. I was in the stage production of Proof in Victoria, and I wish I had met some of the gentlemen and ladies that are here to do some of my research prior to doing that performance, but it worked out all right. Anyway, I am an actor, and essentially that's what I am, and that's where my passion is. But to talk about acting, I didn't think that would really be appropriate for this kind of a body, because it's something that's discussed often and you can't really nail it down anyway. So what I thought I'd do is really try and wing it, like what they asked me to do, and get a glimpse inside my cluttered brain and how my thought processes work, and then it might be revealing somewhat about the acting and the profession of it. Well, I consider it an art, not so much a profession. I was lucky enough to decide to go to England to study it, and the quality of instruction was pretty much equal to what I received in Canada at Queen's University. However, what I did get there was sort of an attitude, sort of a protective layer that a lot of American actors and some Canadian actors don't resort to keep them off, and it really involves a sort of a brutal form of honesty. You really can't lie to yourself, and you can't lie to yourself about the part or about how well you're doing or any of it, or else you sort of defeat what you're trying to do in terms of creating something that lives and breathes in a very flat sort of medium, or else even on stage, where you really want to try and get details and bring the life of the character to the audience and talk to each one, everybody in the audience in a special way. And the only way you can do that is to sort of defeat what I am right now, which is self-conscious. And so it's easy for me to speak in front of a lot of people when I have a character to hide behind, but it's not so easy in this position. So what I thought I'd do is try and show you how my mind works, what I do to relax it, and how I come at a part. And the only thing I really know anything about, other than some vague theories about acting, is horse racing. It's something I've done since I was 16 years old. My best friend is a guy called Charlie Murray, and his father was Dr. Murray, who had to leave England because he had a heart condition. He thought he'd just relax in Canada, so he's working for the Workmen's Compensation Board. He's a doctor. He had a fabulous, great walrus mustache. And my image of him, my strongest memory of him is sitting in front of the TV, watching. This is the days of Nixon, and you have his Bloody Mary, which he wasn't allowed to drink. And he had the budgie that he talked to, and it could only sort of say racing terms, like, I don't even remember which ones. But he'd be perched on this glass, and he'd have an open copy of Shelley or something, or Blake on his lap. And this is how he spent his whole day, with the racing form always near, or like here. This is how I carry it right here. And it's with me all the time, pretty much all the day. And this is what I use to take my mind off all the sort of bullshit that I encumber it with. Because the big pressure for me and guys like me and women like me is getting the job. Doing the job is sort of almost secondary. The preparation and trying to convince people to hire you in the first place is the hardest part. So my biggest form of relaxation is at the racetrack. And Dr. Murray and Charlie Murray took me out there the first time. I was at Upper Canada College. I hadn't even been in a cab really in my life. And they were taking me in a cab out to Woodbine, all the way out there, like a $30 ride. This is nuts. We get out to Woodbine, and from the first race, from the first time I saw it, I thought, wow, this is a game. This is probably the best game anybody invented. And I guess that's why millions of people enjoy it. However, specifically, when I talk to people about racing, They don't know what I'm talking about. If I was going to do like the scientists and put up a copy of the racing form here and sort of take you through what all the different things mean, because it's incredibly complicated, which is fun. But you can reduce it down to simple elements, which I'll try and do for you today, and sort of draw links to my life and how I approach characters. It's kind of all wrapped up into the way I perceive and the way I call races. Honesty being right at the heart of everything. You can't lie to yourself. I mean, you see a horse that can win at 7 furlongs, which is 7/8 of a mile, and they entered him for 6, he ain't gonna get there. You can hope against hope. You can think, oh yeah, well maybe today they'll get him started a little quicker and he'll come in there and he'll shorten up enough to get to 6 furlongs, but he won't. He won't get there. And you can kid yourself if you want to. And it's the same thing about acting. Last night I was at the party, it was a great party, and Michael Shara asked me, like, what would be your ideal? Like, how, I was talking about some of my plans, things I'd like to do. Well, how would you like to see it? How would you like to see it work out? What would be your ideal? And I said to him, shit, man, I think I'm actually living it. I'm in a very fortuitous position being the lead actor on a show that's actually smart, and it's watched by people, it's made in Canada, and I'm in it. And that can bring me to tears sometimes watching it. It's really something. And Chris Haddock likes to say, oh, we're raising the bar, we're raising the bar. But we live in a society that's, government, there's a lot of other factors in there. So you may not see the bar get raised right away, but I definitely think it will be, and I can see it all around me all the time. So I try and, you need specifics in order to understand who's going to win a horse race. And it's the same thing with acting or choosing a topic to direct a movie or something like that. I think the more specific you can get, oh, they don't give you the times, like the numbers on here? I had it all budgeted out. Ah, shit. If you're specific enough, you can get universal. I did a film about Peter Tosh, for example, and what I decided to do, rather than make it easy for people, hey, if you didn't understand a guy, I'd subtitle him, but I let people talk about, didn't try and dumb it up for people, like to try and make it sort of easy to understand. And by doing that, the opposite occurs. And I find that the same way when I select horses. If you lie to yourself, you really have no chance in either medium. Send me a few notes on my form here. Oh, yeah, acting. I found that acting was, after I had a chance to work with Olivier when I was younger, some other great actors, Richard Attenborough directed me in a film. And my conclusion came from watching them was that acting became a process of like getting rid of things that you're worried about. The more you can just start firing things away. You don't have to worry about the camera. You don't have to worry about what lens he's using. You don't have to worry about anything except the other actor you're working with. The director's meaningless. All that stuff is meaningless. And the more you can have the courage just to go there, the better shot you have of making something that can penetrate and put some meaning to people's lives. Even if it's just like a time waster, which I basically believe all television movies are. It's just, you can get more sophisticated and you can get, but it's just a chance for people not to have to talk to their wife or, maybe get laid or, there's good practical value to it. And it's something, I dedicate my life to it. So let's open up the form. I think, okay. Now one of the first ways you're approaching a horse race is you have to determine the class. Class will win. If you can assess class in a horse race, you got a pretty good shot at getting a horse that could win. Now sometimes there's hidden class, what we call back class, where a horse has run good a couple of years ago or his sire's run really good and he's good at that distance, he's good on that surface. So he's got back class, and even though he may be a huge price, he's bettable because you know this. How do you assess class? Well, if you go a lot like me, then you can remember, you have to use your memory. That's very useful as an actor. But it's very useful in horse racing too, because if you identify a horse that was great, like Awesome Again or something like that, who had such heart that he could just mow him down. It didn't matter if the horses were better, he'd find a way to win. He'd just pour it on. And you see a horse that ran good against Awesome Again, obviously, if he's run a couple of bad races, but he had that one good one against Awesome Again, he's bettable. All the better if he's a better price. If you don't go a lot, you look for the money. Bottom line, money. Now, money doesn't have to be bad. I mean, money can be a good thing. In terms of acting, a lot of people think, well, once you're working with the big bucks, your acting kind of slides. That may be true, but actually you have more tools that you can call upon. You also have time and things like that. And it's the same with the horses. You can assess them by the money. The more money they run for, the better the horse they are. And it's simple. So you can open up your form if you've never even gone and just look down the list and see what the prize money was the last time they ran. And the ones that ran for the best prize money, even if they're way up the track, they'll probably have a pretty good chance of getting there. Excuse me, I gotta take a drink. Wow. That's better. Okay, so what are we talking about? Class? Now, class in my business, sometimes it's kind of hard to find. So the way I look for is details. Those kind of guys or those kind of women who try and find that detail that you didn't expect, even in very, very familiar situations over. And that's what I think I'm good at from watching some of the great actors. And often it's just a question of knowing what to even look for. And that's why I thought I got lucky to go to England and then get a job with Olivier, because he was just amazing. And it turned out that he was doing sort of little secret, little bullshit things that I was actually doing even I hadn't even been doing it that long. But I had this little trick where I'd go into my dressing room and I'd take a candle and I'd light it. And if you look in the mirror like a certain way with the candle on, you can kind of see the image that it's going to be on the film. It's almost like taking a double mirror and then you can see the way your hair is parting right. You know, if you see people are looking at you, with the candle, for some reason, I could play a scene with myself and be the other guy and me, and I could work it out what I was going to do before I went out there and embarrass myself. And Olivier told me he did the same thing. And the other thing that blew my mind was he followed people. He'd see a guy in a train, or a guy going into a train, because he didn't have to take a train that much, and he'd get on the train and follow him, find out where he's going. I bet that guy's a this, I bet that guy's a stockbroker, I bet he's two kids, and I bet this and I bet that. And he'd follow him. Sometimes he says for 2 days, and you have to take a hotel. Did the same thing many times, especially in England. It's so fascinating. It was so foreign to me. And it was crucial to my development as an actor, was to discover that, you know, some of these are like really ridiculous things that come into your brain are actually useful, and you should really go with them. So I'm looking, and I've got a chance for trying to assess or prognosticate certain individuals because they're in the way of me getting a job. I'll go to factors that I use when I'm looking to handicap a horse race, especially like if we start with class. Is there a detail? If I show him something in audition and he grabs it, if he's got like a sense of humor that's beyond what's in the text or something like that, then I think, oh, there's a smattering of class here. And even if I don't get the job, I think I made an impact on somebody that could possibly help me down the road. And when you're younger, boy, that's a huge thing. Okay, the next area that I look at is really important is pace. Horses have like different ways of running, and it either starts from when they're colts or young fillies and they're in their paddock or whatever it is. I'm not sure. Some of them like to run hard in the lead, and some of them like to sit back and then come late, and we call that a closer, but the late kick. And I tend to fall in love with the closers. I bet so many horses come flying into fourth, which is not in the money. I've claimed horses that come flying to fourth, not in the money. It keeps your hope going, but you know, unless they change the situation, like the class they're running at, they're not going to get any better than fourth, so then you have to drop them down. But pace then becomes crucial. If you got your horse running at the right kind of level, but he's a speed horse, he likes to pop and then maybe stop. Like he comes out of the gate, runs hard, and then the other horses catch up to him. Or there's a situation which is known as hooking, where a horse goes out fast, and there's 2 or 3 other horses that are fast, and they'll all run together in the front. They'll wear each other out, and that's when the closers are good. And so we're frantically watching the times to see how quick they're going. And there's 2 or 3 horses on the lead, and they're running very fast fractions for the first call, which is 2 furlongs, and then 4 furlongs, a half mile. Then we'll say, you know, those horses are going to get tired, and the ones from the back are going to win. And you can predict that by looking in the racing form, because there's all notations at 5 different calls during the race for every horse. And this is, you know, science has been built up for like a long time, but you can't actually apply scientific reasoning to a horse and jockey, because here's a sport now that 2 different species combined together. I don't think there's another sport like it. I don't think there's another sport out there that women compete against men on equal terms every day at, I don't know, 50, 60 racetracks around America. And in Canada, I think the 2nd or 3rd leading rider right here, she's got a ride in the Queen's Plate Sunday, Chantal Sutherland. And she's going to be one of the major riders for years to come because she's young and she can keep her weight. So I look for the pace elements. I've got my horse running at the right kind of level. Even if he has superior class to everybody else, but he's a speed horse and there's 2 or 3 other cheap speed horses in there, you got to eliminate them. And you can't lie to yourself. You got to throw them right out. Pace is something that, I did a film about Peter Tosh, and one of the guys I interviewed said that impatience has killed more men than anything else in their experience. Impatience, I thought, boy, that really slayed me. Because I could relate to that because I was extremely impatient when I started. Like I came out of the gate, I kind of popped and stopped, I thought. Because I got success very quickly. I got, like a job. I was working with Dickie Attenborough, and I thought, man, I'm going to wake up tomorrow, I'm going to be like well-known. Everybody's going to, heck, I work with Olivier, he's got to be good. But it took till I was about 45 years old before I actually had like a solid, like a reputation, or I kind of made it. And it's taken me a long time to kind of back off on my natural inclination to hurry the process along. One horse racing, that's death. If you're trying to hurry horses along, or if you're trying to presuppose that a horse will do better than what his line indicates, then you're in trouble constantly. So I was always getting myself in terrible jams. I pretty much got myself kicked out of LA there for all the stuff I used to complain about. And then I had to do another series in Canada to kind of say I was sorry about the way I behaved in the first series. And then I made so many names in the second series, and I had to do a third series now. And I never wanted to do a series in the first place. I thought I had all figured out exactly what was important. But from spending so much time at the racetrack, I was able to discern that certain things just aren't important. Just because you get a strong feeling and you feel impatient and everything doesn't actually make that a real thing. And in terms of acting now, you can take certain things that you're experiencing and then just rotate it right back into the performances that you're giving. I didn't really catch that until it was much later on. And now, in a way, it's been very lucky for me because I've been taught this lesson of pace. And, I can look forward to a longevity where I think if I got really super lucky when I was young, it may not have stayed around for me because of my built-in impatience, eh? So, what was I going to tell you? There's something else I want to mention about pace that I thought was pretty good. Oh, yeah. This film I mentioned, Stepping Razor Red X, I did about Peter Tosh. That took like 4 years to do. And that was when it finally clicked to me, just what kind of patience you have to have and how you can't hurry something along. I started out with that film, I convinced this guy, if you'll let me go to Jamaica and make a film about Peter Tosh, I'll write the script. If they hate the script, give me a camera, I'll shoot my research. And then if we all hate it, then we can sell a 28-minute thing to Channel 4 in England or something about reggae, because someone will buy that. And he went for it. But when I got down there, I got into Peter Tosh's house, which I had heard it blown away in the hurricane. It was actually intact. And his wife was still in there. And she couldn't afford electricity. She had one of those little neon purple things. So I was with my partner, who's Jamaican. And we had another guy, a journalist, with us. And we're coming up to the house. And the journalist starts yelling out the window, Marlene! Marlene! Which is her name, right? And we hear, yeah. And my partner puts the foot in the gas. He wants out of there so quick, right? I go, what are you doing? What are you doing? She's in there. No, he was afraid of her because of all the stories about her being possibly involved in Peter's death. There were stories about her being involved with obia, which is witchcraft. Basically it's, what do they call that? Voodoo. It's the sort of Jamaican word for voodoo. Same thing, it's just African religion. But she had a reputation for it, him being Jamaican, he didn't want to deal with it. So I jumped out of the car while it was still moving, we got in there. And she produced this box after I calmed her down. Well, she said to me, I can't do any documentary on Peter because she's doing it. And she's doing the love story and she's doing the autobiography. I said, well, how are you going to do an autobiography? The guy's dead, he's got to write it himself. And instead of driving her away, now she's interested. And I said, the documentary, should that be yours? I mean, there's all these rumors I've been hearing ever since I got to Jamaica, how you might have had a hand in killing the guy. Why don't you let me do it? I'll put your version, I'll put the other version, and let the audience decide. She said she was cool with that. So she produced this box. And at the bottom of the box, there were these 4 microcassettes in it. And everything else in the box had all been effects of his from the night, still bloodstained, his passport, driver's stuff, all that. And she just put it on a box. So what's on those tapes? She says, oh, you won't be interested in those. There's no singing on that. That's just him talking. Oh, yeah? Wouldn't mind hearing that. So she grabs this machine. It's like the first machine they ever invented for playing the microcassettes, and it's got the variable speed thing on it. And she puts the thing in, she's ramming it up there. You know, it's like 200 degrees down there, and I can see the thing gonna break any minute. So I stopped it, and I just managed to get it to go a little bit. And I hear something like, truth, if you're found in possession of the truth, you can be sentenced to death. You know, stuff like this. Or you go, hey diddle diddle, the cat and the fiddle and the coal jump over the moon. Out of blood clot, a coal jump over a blood clot moon. And they start going off for a tirade about, see, the kind of shit they teach us in school? No wonder all the youth pick up their guns and use them the same way as certain heroes like Marco Polo and all this. I'm thinking, holy shit, if I ever sat down and talked into a microphone about my life, it wouldn't be any kind of eloquence like this. So we got those tapes, we sent them back to Toronto, my editor, Trevor, put them on DAT, they were back there within the next day, and now I had a movie. All I had to do was image these tapes. And I don't think I would have got that message if I didn't know something about bass. If I didn't know that, hey, you don't have to decide right now. You can let it come on, like how I'm doing this right now as I start off pretty... This is nerve-wracking, I'll tell you. You guys were great, all your things. I just allowed it to develop within me, and then the penny dropped, and ever since then, I think that I've been able to find more reward. Is that the end? Does that mean read out? I didn't even get the good stuff. Okay. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for listening to me. Wow. You shorten it up, right?
Give you a few more minutes.